Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing the 26 Frank Zappa tours I have deemed worthy to be called tours or decided to group as tours. And we are now on number 3, 1982, specifically late spring, half of spring, early summer 1982, but the only tour in 1982. This was a European tour, about just over 50 shows, ran from early May to mid-July. I think it ran to Bastille Day, right? I think Bastille Day is July 14th, right? Sorry if I'm wrong. I was in Bastille. I think I was in Bastille Day at Paris once. And like in the United States, there's fireworks or firecrackers specifically, but they weren't outside. Like we were eating in a cafe on Bastille Day, and people were randomly just running by and throwing firecrackers into the restaurants, and they were like going off around our feet, and nobody seemed to care. It was chaos. Yeah, it was crazy. Anyways, I got distracted. This is just a freaking amazing tour. And I originally had this. Not originally, back in like the late 90s when I did this webpage sort of, when I was the deepest in the Zappa rabbit hole I've ever been and will ever be again. I wrote up these web pages, reviewed kind of all the tours, and I wrote of this tour, in my opinion, easily one of Frank's top 5 tours, pretty much based on his guitar playing, the members in the band, the song selection, everything that would define a tour, put this in the top 5. But when I mocked up my list, when I started to do this, without actually going back and visiting any of these tours, I had this at number 11. I had it grouped with 79, 81, and fall 78 because I think those are the peak 4 tours of Frank's guitar playing. As much as I like other tours better, and I do think his guitar playing on other tours speaks to me in a different way, I think on a just straight objective level, if you could objectify guitar playing, his guitar playing is best in those 4 tours, with 82, I think, being his second best tour of all time. Probably his most consistent, I think way more consistent than 79, but I think the peaks of 79 are slightly higher than the peaks of 82, but 82 probably has way more peaks than any other tour, as far as just like Frank either being ridiculously aggressive on guitar and exploratory on guitar, or creating just beautiful, just sort of landscapes on guitar, or just using loops effectively, I think, or using way too many loops and not effectively, but it is because it just becomes, it's just madness. There are so many like different, going to food, so many different notes that Frank is hitting throughout this tour that like, oh, he can do this, and oh, but he can also like really reel it in and do this, and then he can get nasty and bluesy and do this. And he really was like, I think, I mean, maybe at the peak of his powers as far as not what he was creating, I'm going to 79 still, but just his like ability to go so many different places, and having a rhythm section, Tunis and Wackerman, who were just at the top of their game. 84, the following tour, would be horribly undermined by Wackerman's horrible sounding electronic drums, even though there were still some really good solos. And then by 88, I think Frank had mellowed a lot, and it's just a much less aggressive outing. But this is by far the last truly phenomenally great Frank Zappa tour for guitar playing to my ears. But why did it fall to number 11 in the past couple decades? And the reason for it, I think, is because other tours that I love as much as this one back then had releases in the meantime that just confirmed what I felt about those tours. Like A Token of His Extreme, that slice of summer, fall 74, completely reconfirmed everything I believed about that tour. Hammersmith Odeon from the Winter 78 tour completely confirmed what I thought about that tour. The Road Tapes show, Venue 1, from the 68 band, right? Mother 68, 69, 68, completely confirmed what I felt about that band. And there hasn't been that for 82. And not only has there not been that, I do think the stuff that is not solo related, there's a lot of solos released from this tour. I think that the stuff that has been released from this tour has not painted this tour, hasn't painted it in a negative light, but it hasn't shown you the true amazing strengths of this tour. So Other tours have been reconfirmed. This one is not. And then I've sort of reevaluated a lot of tours, a lot of the 73 and 74 stuff. I have a much higher opinion of than I did back then. And so as other things creep up, I think in my mind, I was thinking, well, 82 must be pushed back. But no, I was wrong. Because as I approached number 11 and started listening to just random shows from 82, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty stupid ridiculous. The guitar playing is just ridiculous. I think the very first show of the tour, I think Treacherous Cretins is the song they open with, but like as soon as the solo spot hits, Frank is just like attacking, just full on going. It's not the longest solo, it's not the best solo, but it's like aggressive, and it sets the tone for just an absolutely amazing tour that would get amazingly, as the tour goes on, this is the tour that is sort of documented, that is best described, the end of it, by the Man from Utopia cover. You know, once they got to like Italy, and at the end of the tour, there were issues with mosquitoes, and there were riots, and like, it just became more chaotic, and it just seemed like no other band's music matches that sort of chaos, as this band, though there was nothing really chaotic about this band. The last video, I said my last four tours, one of them was the Chaos Tour. This is not the Chaos Tour. That is still to come. But this seemed to like, the energy that this band brought forward seemed to be like chaos contained. Like Frank had found it, he had captured it, he had put it in this band, they were going to play perfect music that just felt like it was just so incredibly powerful. At any moment it could just burst apart, but it never did. And I was trying to come up with like something that, like, I've used the analogy of like dinosaurs. Some bands have like a T-Rex energy, or a lot more stompy and just aggressive, but still destroy the environment. And others are more sleek and velociraptor-ish. I think the Steve Vai years are definitely more velociraptor-ish. And like the Kaliuta years are more Tyrannosaurus Rexy, because he's so all over the place. But what this tour reminds me of, for you basketball fans out there, kind of like the 80s Lakers, Showtime Lakers, and just so incredibly talented, so incredibly efficient, so incredibly fun to watch, yet like at the same time work together as a team. A team in which nobody is like trying to outshine everybody else, but just by virtue of all working together in this environment, they all shine at the utmost of their abilities. And then more recently, reminds me of the San Antonio 2014 San Antonio world champions, NBA champions. I know San Antonio is usually known as having boring defensive-minded basketball, but that 2014 was an offensive juggernaut. Their ball movement, everybody would touch the ball 3 times, and 9 of those passes would have been wide open shots, and then they end up with like the most open of the open shots. It was just one of the most, it was like choreographed. It was like every play was perfectly choreographed. And because they knew their offense so well and ran their system so well, it was just a marvel to see. And that's kind of what this tour reminds me of. It is so tight. The band is so good. And it's just like to see them like perform these songs so just immaculately, and then be able to like drop into these guitar solos or into these King Kong or Pound for Browns, which, you know, are truly monstrous, and a lot of people are getting chance to jams, and we have secret word things, and we have percussion solos, and it's just kind of all over the place. Like, to see them able to do both things so well is just never a disappointing tour. There's some rough shows, sound wise, maybe some shows which the solos are only good, only great and not ridiculous, like early in the tour as is typical, and maybe a one-off every once in a while. But for the most part, you just cannot go wrong with anything from this tour. Yeah, I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it was. But anyways, here is who is in this band. So you have Frank Zappa on guitar and vocals. You have Steve Vai on Steve Vai-ness. He'd been around since fall 80. You have Ray White on vocals and guitar. Scott Tunis and Chad Wackerman, your rhythm section. Their second full tour. They'd been around since 81. Ed Mann is still around on percussion and vocals, doing the Bob Dylan thing. Tommy Mars on keyboards, and Bobby Martin on keyboards and sax. So just a ridiculous band. Nobody is new on this tour. You know, Ray White's been around since 76. Man's been around since 77. Mars has been around since 77. Martin, Tunis, and Wackerman are the newer members, but they gelled well in 81s, and they just took off running, when this tour started. And then Steve Vai's been around since 80. There's just like, it's just an amazing group of musicians. Where can you hear them? Because this is where, like, I think a lot of the stuff that's been officially released from this band song-wise is not the best. I mean, it's good stuff, but it doesn't really show. But the solos, however, kind of show you the wide range that Frank was playing on this tour. So the primary place you can find them is disc 2 of stage 5. That entire disc is devoted to this band. It does have a really good Black Page number 2. I'm a huge fan of the Black Page number 2 solos on this tour. That is the Them or Us vamp. Frank a lot of time used loops. It went off in a lot of crazy places. I think it was just really texturally very interesting, very aggressive, and just a lot of fun. So that entire disc, the Easy Meat that opens, I think is good. The Black Page is pretty good. Oh, my cat, hold on, my cat just got in the house. Stop. Yeah, so my cat got in the house. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Stage 5. So the Easy Meat, I think solo is pretty good, and the ending Black Page number 2 solo is great. I do think some of the middle is just a little, it's good, but it's not as spectacular as this band can be. You have stuff on stage 4, Disco Boy, Teenage Win, the solo from Truck Driver's Divorce, the whole 50s medley at the end. I'm probably going to leave songs out, so just be prepared for that. So those of you who like to, yeah, I'm going to miss stuff. Stage 1, Mammy, Anthem, Tell Me You Love Me, Sofa, Fine Girl, Zombie Wolf, Them or Us, a lot of the basic tracks and some of the solos. Frank Zappa meets the Mother of Prevention, the basic tracks, like he did in Shake Your Booty, where he took like the bass, he took the live recordings and used the basic tracks and built on those. There's stuff on stage 6, I think just one part of Illinois Enema Bandit, I think is from 82. And then you got a whole bunch of guitar solos. Wow, that cat's back in. Cat's upset because she thinks this tour should be number 1, but she is wrong. So a whole bunch of guitar solos. I think there's like 45 minutes of guitar solos on Guitar, the album, the release. And these are what they are. And they really show the wide range. Interesting, they show the wide range that Frank plays, but there's no Truck Driver Divorce solo on here, which were definitely some of Frank's more interesting sort of templates, palettes over which he played. Probably the 2 worst Truck Driver Divorce solos from this tour are the officially released ones, the Them or Us one and the one on stage 4. So, yeah, there's some amazing stuff out there. Probably, for my taste, the 3 best guitar solo vehicles of the dozens of amazing guitar solo vehicles: Black Page number 2, the Them or Us vamp, lots of loops, a lot of craziness in that one. Let's Move to Cleveland. This is sort of the Let's Move to Cleveland in its perfect form tour, I would say. The early 70s version was just a weird sort of early prototype version that you really can't compare. But of the 7, even the 84, I don't think is as solid and tight and just monstrous as this one. And then by 88, that was a great arrangement, a lot of fun. But I do think this is like Let's Move to Cleveland at its most powerful. Black Page, Let's Move to Cleveland, and Truck Driver Divorce are just, you cannot go wrong. And then Drowning Witch, you can't go wrong with either. And I mean, there's a lot of things you can't go wrong with. But these are all the solos on guitar that are from this tour. That's Not Really a Shuffle, King Kong, When No One Was No One, Zoot Allures, But Who Was Fulcanelli, Drowning Witch, Is That All There Is, Let's Move to Cleveland, Saint Etienne, Off Jazz from Hell, A Drowning Witch, Jim and Tammy's Upper Room, Advanced Romance, Move It or Park It, The Black Page, Do Not Pass Go, Drowning Witch, That Old G Minor Thing Again, City of Tiny Lights, Do Not Try This at Home, Black Page number 2, It Ain't Necessarily the St. James Infirmary, Pound for a Brown, Which One Is It, Black Page number 2. Yeah, I don't think I missed anything on that. Who knows? If I did, you will tell me in the comments. I trust you. But anyways, so they're all over the place, and the solos, I think, highlight the tour well. The actual songs themselves, I think, are not the most inspired choices. But it does show off sort of the technical proficiency and just that sleek sound that this band has, that they can also turn into like chaotic jamming. So anyways, these are all the songs Frank would solo in. There was a lot of songs, a lot of different songs played. Frank soloed a lot. Advanced Romance. And the good thing about this is the set list varied pretty much from night to night. Frank had like groupings of songs, as always, that always kind of popped up together, but he moved them around well. He had a lot of little random one-off songs that would pop up. Stinkfoot seemed like a one-off. Clowns, not a one-off, but was one of those songs that just kind of was anywhere it wanted to be. Clowns on Velvet. There was just a very more Grateful Dead set list type feel to this tour than previous Frank tours. The early 70s was different set lists every night, still within the groupings, but a limited number of songs. Then you got to the late 70s where it was like he went into like, we're just going to play the same set every night, and I'll mess it up and mess around with it as I do to make things interesting. But for the most part, it's the same show every night, same set list every night. And then by the time he got to the 80s, it was like, I have so many songs, new, old, I'm just going to, mix things up almost every night, and things became a lot more freeform. And like 82, I think, is, for me, the ultimate freeformness, in that every song that is played, even the Dancing Fool, is just so like tossed off quickly that it's like, okay, that was fun. Disco Boy, for some reason, I enjoy on this tour more than I did in the 70s. And so those songs that might bother me otherwise, I really enjoy on this tour because of the way they're just used and thrown around, and the set list varies so interestingly. So Advanced Romance he soloed in, Alien Orifice, Bamboozled by Love, which is really good on this tour, Black Napkins, The Black Page #2, Carolina Hardcore Ecstasy, which I think was only performed once, Chunga's Revenge, City of Tiny Lights, which had that old G minor thing, San Antonio, the Carlos Santana secret chord progression in it for some of the times, Clowns on Velvet, Cosmic Debris, Drowning Witch, which you got 2 solos, Dumb All Over, Easy Meat, Heavy Duty Judy, which I think was before more than once. And it had the words, the Heavy Duty Judy, and I think it changed a couple times, secret wordish type things. Illinois Anima Bandit, In France, had a nice little Zappa bluesy solo. King Kong, Let's Move to Cleveland, Mammy Anthem, Marcuson's Chicken, Muffin Man, N-Biz, Outside Now, Packard Goose, Pamford Brown on the Bus, Redunzel, Ride My Face to Chicago, which popped up only once. Kind of a slower version, but had a nice little solo in it. Charlena, Sinister Footwear 2, Stevie Spanking, Stinkfoot, Treacherous Cretins, Truck Driver Divorce, Watermelon and Easter Hay, What's New in Baltimore, Whippin' Post, Zombie Wolf, and Zoot Allures. What a ridiculous number of songs to solo in. All of those solos are like interesting and like worth checking out. And just like the Charlenas are amazing, always. The Sinister Footwears, the Drowning Witches, the Mammy Anthems, usually aggressive. Every once in a while he sneaks in this little like introspective philosophical one that mixes things up. It's just absolutely amazing. But no Montana solo, so that still wasn't a thing that was happening. Not a lot of new songs played on this tour, but so many great ones. A lot of new songs debuted on 81 that were still around, and just he was soloing better in them, it seemed. So yeah, great solos. Like almost all those songs I read off is most of what the set list was. Other things that didn't have solos that were in the set list, Approximate was played. Interestingly enough, I don't think in the beginning of the tour, but at some point in the tour, Tinseltown Rebellion and Approximate became linked together, and like about a little over halfway through Tinseltown Rebellion, they just dropped into Approximate and then just never went back to Tinseltown Rebellion. So that was, I thought, pretty interesting and kind of cool. Dagmar, Din Din. You had a lot of, you had You Are What You Is medleys. You had the Charlie's Enormous Mouth sequence of songs, and then you had the You Are What You Is sequence of songs. The Blue Light was still around. Bobby Brown Goes Down. Broken Hearts Are for Assholes. You had your encore numbers like your Camarillo Brillos, Muffin Man. What else was played? Oh, your 50s medley, which I talked about, was released on stage 4. Cocaine, N-Biz, Cocaine Decisions. That was from this tour. I forgot to mention that on the stage 3. Yes, there's stage 3 stuff on here. What else? Dancing Fool, but that's on that stage 5 release. Dead Girls of London is on that stage 5 release. Doreen, Disco Boy. Dumb All Over, guitar solo in that. Yeah, the Envelopes was still a part of the Drowning Witch experience. Fine Girl, Flakes, Goblin Girl, Harder Than Your Husband. I mean, it's just like, and the thing is, they're not all played every night. So if you went to a show, you really didn't know what you were going to hear. Yes, some songs were played way more than others, but I don't think there was a song played at every show. So it really was just like, what great guitar solo vehicles am I going to get, and what interesting little songs are they going to put between these? Maggio, Miss Pinky, that song. Yeah, man. Oh, Redunzel, at some point, maybe this band wasn't as perfect as we all think, because one, I think in the liner notes of stage 1, or maybe it's in the liner notes of all of them. No, it's in the liner notes of of stage 3 when they do the Drowning Witch. I think Frank mentions that no band played Drowning Witch perfectly, if I'm not mistaken. And then towards the end of this tour, Redunzel got slowed down to like half tempo. And I don't know why, but I once, somebody either commented or I read somewhere that maybe Frank was not happy that they kept messing it up. So like as a punishment, he played it at half tempo. Like, if you guys can't play it, we're going to do it this way. And I don't know if that's true or not. Correct me if I'm wrong, or correct me if you know the story of why it all of a sudden slowed down at the end of the tour. What else was played? I think Shall We Take Ourselves Seriously is part of the Dead Girls of London little coupling. What else? I think Strictly Gentile, the awesome Strictly Gentile, a beautiful song. Tell Me You Love Me, which is on stage 1. Titties and Beer, I think Ed Mann is doing the devil part. Frank just kind of seemed to always bring that back. You know, I don't know why. Like, that was the one song that seemed to just pop up once a tour. Hey, Denny, you're going to try to be the devil. No, you're going to try to be the devil. So again, it popped up again on this one. We're Turning Again. Why Does It Hurt When I Pee? So yeah, that's pretty much everything that was played on this ridiculous tour. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's like amazing songs performed by an amazing band with always engaging, if not the best guitar solos you hear, definitely aggressive and never boring. But most of the time, some of the best. And these were shows where like I don't even know if there was like really out there crazy unexpected moments other than maybe in like a King Kong or a Pound for a Brown where it just got really creative and out there. But this tour was so good they could just do their normal business and play the songs that were in the set list and let Frank deliver the solos he was going to deliver and let the soloists take their moments in the monster songs. And that was good enough to make this like a top 5 tour. It's just the quality is so ridiculous. And I do think this is the 40th anniversary of it. Like a box set, 6 shows, right? 6 discs, 3 shows, 6 discs. Be pretty sweet. Be pretty good release. I think everybody would love it. Really good shows, one from each month. May 21st, June 29th, July 3rd. One from each month. I would take those. I would also take any show from this tour. Other than those shows, if you want a really good listening experience where all you have to do is push play twice, Coaster Magic X2. I've been sending you to his YouTube page a lot. He has compiled something called, I think he calls it the 82 Italy ending or whatever, but it's 82 Italy on Coaster Magic X2s, and he's taken a couple of the very last shows, including I think the Mosquito Show and the Riot Show, and he has these sort of compilation like 2.5 hour listens of like the end of this tour with just some of the most amazing guitar playing ever. And I think that should satisfy, like, that should convince you that this is a top 5 tour, is just those listens. But anyway, other than that, there's a lot of 82 shows out there on YouTube if you don't have access otherwise to this stuff. And just find one and listen to it. And I mean, it's amazing, amazing stuff. So anyways, that's all I got to say about this tour. How I thought it was number 11, stupid me. But I have righted that wrong. And it is number 3. And thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this tour. Let me know what I messed up on. All that kind of stuff, or stuff you want to mention, shows you want to give a shout out to, shout them out. Thank you, people. Subscribe, all that stuff. And stay warm. It's cold in Texas. Bye.